When you create a project in Visual Studio, it creates a lot of files for you. The number of these files and the file types are determined by a project template. Simply stated, a project template instructs Visual Studio which files to generate and load into the IDE. I'll start this movie by looking at some existing templates. In Visual Studio, you can open a template by clicking on this New Project link or by choosing File, New Project. In the New Project dialog, Visual Studio looks up a list of the available templates and shows them in this tree view. Here you can see the Visual Basic templates and the C# templates and the other language templates. Within the C# templates, I can pick by category. So I'm going to go to this Windows node and choose Console Application. I'll leave the name at the default and click on OK. You've seen console applications in previous videos. It has a program.cs file, has an app config, it has a folder full of references. These references are used by the compiler during the build process. And if you look inside this properties node, you'll see there's a file in here called assembly.info.cs. Let me double click on this program.cs file and you can see the C# code. Now I'm going to add another template to this solution. I'm going to do that by right-clicking on my solution and choosing Add New Project. It's prompting me to save my project, so I'll do that. And I'll save it here in my exercise files folder in the correct folder. In this case, I'm saving it in a final folder inside Chapter 3, Movie Number 2. I'm going to leave the names at the default and click on Save. Next, I want to create a web application. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to choose this MVC web application. I'll click on OK, and then I'll choose from one of these 8 template types. I'm going to pick this internet application and leave everything else at the defaults. I have a brand new installation of Visual Studio, and in some cases, what can happen on a brand new installation is that the NuGet package management system is not up to date. That's what's happening here. NuGet is a system for loading helper components into any Visual Studio project. So I'm going to have to update NuGet. So I'm going to click on OK here, and then I'm going to go up to the Tools menu, then I'll click on Extensions and Updates. Next, I'll click on this Online node, and then choose to download the NuGet Package Manager. Next, I'll click on the Install button, and I'm ready to go. Click Close, and then restart Visual Studio. That was a quick side adventure. Let's try adding that project again. I'll right-click on my solution, choose Add New Project, go through the same steps as before. On this computer, he went out to the internet and downloaded a lot of NuGet packages, which took about 30 seconds to go through the first time, but it'll be faster in subsequent installs. Here's what I want you to see. This MVC application is loaded with files. Unlike the console application, this one has dozens of files. Here's the account controller. There is stuff in this content folder and stuff in this app start folder. So what this shows is that each template has different instructions to Visual Studio. Now, where does Visual Studio get these instructions? I'm glad you asked that question. I've opened File Explorer on my Windows 8 machine, and I've navigated to this location here. This is where Visual Studio installs its project templates. Since I'm working with C#, I'm going to look in this folder, and then I'm going to open up the Windows folder. Then I'll drill into this 1033 folder. That is the numeric value for an English culture machine. So we'll open this up and look in this folder. This is the console application. See these files? Those match what I had inside the Visual Studio project. Here's my program.cs file. This matches what I have in Visual Studio. Well, it sort of matches what I have there. Let's go look again. I'll switch back to Visual Studio and open this program.cs. Here you can see I've got a namespace, console application 1, a program, and then a static void main method and a number of using statements at the top of this window. Here's what I have inside the template. Using system, using collections.generic, and then here's an if statement. These $signs are symbols or tokens that are used by Visual Studio. In this case, it says if the version of the framework I'm targeting is greater than 3.5, then add a using statement for system.link. And if it's greater than 4.5, then add a system.threading.task. Back to Visual Studio, you see since I targeted .NET 4.5, I got those extra using statements. And then here you see that it says write a namespace with the safe project name. So what this means is it picks up the name I gave my project, modifies the string slightly if it's necessary, and injects that here as the namespace. And then the rest of the code matches what I have. Let's go up one level. And we'll look at the web section this time. And here are the intranet MVC applications. So here's the different project templates for those types of projects. Again, these are full of files that are loaded by Visual Studio. Let me go back to that Windows folder one more time. I want to show you there is several other files. There's an app config, there's the assembly info, and then here's the CS project file. This is what Visual Studio uses later in life to load the files once they've been created by the template. And then this is the instructions to the template engine of what to do. So here you can see instructions like add a project file, console application.cs project, replace the parameters, those items with the $signs, and replace those $sign values inside that file. Let's summarize. There are many different project types available in Visual Studio. There's sure to be one that matches your application model. If you want to create your own custom templates, then check out the custom template videos in this chapter.